Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. Welcome back, everybody, to the Safina Society Nothing But Facts live stream, coming to you from the great state of New Jersey on the third floor of the Cocina soup kitchen. The soup kitchen is one of the biggest parts of Safina Society's work, and it will, inshallah ta'ala, be up and running not just one meal a week, but by 2027, 3 meals a week. By 2030, 7 days a week. A dinner every single day, and it will be restaurant style. And you got to come and check it out. It's becoming, very slowly, we're already in the top, I would say, 1% of buildings in New Brunswick, and we're gonna, inshallah, become basically a sightseeing place by 2030 because of how pretty our garden is starting to look in the back. And it's really a place of upliftment for the poor, not just, I mean, you look around New Brunswick and these masakin are coming from places that are really, really rough. Excuse me. Really rough parts of the world. But they get to come to the soup kitchen. It's going to be every day. They get to come to the soup kitchen if they come on time and have a free meal, a wonderful meal, because it's not going to be treated like a jail. A lot of soup kitchens, they're like jails. If you look at them, you just take a tray, you take this food that has no taste, and you move on. And we're trying to move away from that and make it almost like a restaurant, basically, a restaurant experience. And even if that means we serve less people, but the quality of that moment is much higher. And if a person can come once a week, eventually we're going to have to sort of ration it out. You come once a week, eventually. But if we take a meal off your table once a week and you get to have a sit-down restaurant-style dinner with your family, that's going to be a massive contribution. And eventually, now I'm not aiming low, we're aiming very high, by 2040, the decade after that, there should be enough natural, organic conversions, entrance into Islam, that the house next door, I want to scoop that up too. I want to scoop that up. And that's going to be an Islamic center. And it's going to be a Spanish, just happens to be that the population here is 99% of our clientele are Spanish. It'll be a Spanish-run community center. It'll be a Spanish masjid, essentially. A masjid and community center and multi-purpose, because we don't even know yet what the purposes are going to be. But so we're going to leave it open-ended. But you have the kitchen, and then you're going to have the masjid, right? And we're going to, again, redesign that and make it special, because it's a big property, almost as big as, I think it is as big as ours. So, but let's get to our subject matter of today. There are a lot of things going on. We were off for 2 weeks. I told you the month of June, July, it's checkerboard. It's like we're on, we're off, we're on, we're off. So don't keep your heads up for this coming month, because we're on for a week, then we're off for a week. It's like that. Once we hit August, though, we're back to smooth sailing. And of course, I just came back from leading a group at Hajj. And although the Nusuk website crashed a lot, everything else, I'd have to say, was very organized. So if you want to talk from the perspective of how the Saudi government is organizing Hajj, I think to me, they're organizing it very well. Like there were nothing close to like issues like stampedes, things like that. There were other challenges for other groups, but I was put into the middle class tents, which are called Majarrul Kapsh. And most Americans are there. It's right next to the Jamarat. Excuse me. It's right next to the Jamarat, and the services there are top of the line. They like really take care of you as a guest. But at the same time, that's like 1% of the Hujjaj. Hajj this year was like 1.8 million or something like that. But the further out tents, those are the ones who had to rough it a little bit. And the services there were not as amazing, I would say, as the other services. They were not so critical. But nonetheless, that's Hajj. You're there to suffer. You're not there to have a vacation. Although our where we were was literally a resort. I'm telling you, it was nothing less than a resort. Omar, if you had seen the kind of amenities that they provided us, you would be like, is your Hajj even valid? I came back and I got the usual sickness and that people get after Hajj, but I got it a little bit worse than others because I didn't really treat it, didn't think it was such a big deal, but it got worse. But point being is that I felt good about that. I was like, okay, hopefully I'll get some sins, removed now, because the amount of honoring, I would say it's not 100% bad. They're trying to honor the Hujjaj. They're trying to do, imagine if we hosted the Hujjaj. Imagine your job was hosting the Hujjaj. Your job is to honor these people. Your job is not to make sure they're suffering, right? So the suffering occurs when there's a shortage of support, right? That's why some people suffer. But in the capacity that you have to host people who are making Hajj, by nature, you would honor these people. Allah has honored them. And we were sitting around saying that there is about 1 million people making Hajj in an Ummah, let's say 2 million, in an Ummah of 2 billion. So what's the math on that? Like you are like one in what? 1,000 or people making Hajj that Allah chose? Is it? 0.1%, right? No, yeah, 0.1%. Less than that. 0.01%. People making Hajj. That's amazing. So when Allah chooses these people, if you're the host, you'd want to. When we got to Arafah, so first it's 0.1, right? So when we get to Mina, the tent at Majarrul Kapsh is almost like a locker room. Everyone's got like a big. Oh, we froze. Audio's good, but the camera image froze. All right, we'll wait for a second. All right, the audio is good, so we'll just continue. I'll just continue talking. Everyone's given, when you get to Mina, if you can imagine a locker room where you get like a big stall and your chair pulls out into a bed with wheels. So you're not on the ground, which, I mean, I prefer to be on the ground, but you're not on the ground. You're actually raised up off the ground. And you have, above your head, you have one layer of shelf where you could put your stuff. And then there's one above you on top of that. So you're very comfortable. And you got chargers, you got every amenity that you can imagine. Outside the tent or outside the room, there's all sorts of amenities that a person would need. Plenty of sink space, plenty of bathroom space. Bathroom space, cleaned, tip top. Okay. Okay, I'm looking at Anf Khawaja. I'm going to read Arif Khawaja's question there. Yeah, I'm going to read it there. I got your question, Arif, and it's a decent comment, but I don't have any slides yet. I'm going to bring you slides later. But outside, you have every amenity you can imagine. The bathrooms were not only just kept clean, They literally cleaned the bathroom before and after every use and dried it. And it was a good bathroom. It wasn't a junky bathroom. We're fixing the camera right now as we speak. Secondly, the nourishment. They made sure that you had plenty of food, plenty of cold drinks, plenty of hot drinks. The food quality was very good. Again, you say this to yourself, but you realize you're the 1%. And there's, the 99% do not have anything close to this. Actually, I should start. We're the 1%. There's another 1% above us, and that's Kidana. And the Kidana towers right now are beyond luxury. It's almost like you're in a 7-star mini hotel. That's what the Kidana Tower looks like. It's Kidana Towers. All right, there we go. The Kidana Towers. It's a 7-star mini hotel. That's what it is in Mina, and it's the first erected, and it's owned by Saudi Airlines. First erected hotel in Mina, and I think that that's probably the future. Everyone's going to go that route because they want to have so many people there in Hajj that in Mina it's flat, so it's not going to work, right? You need to have build upwards. So again, you have Kidana Towers being the ultra luxury, and then you have the Majarul Kapsh, which is the Westerners and the Americans, which I would say are like 4%, 2% of the population. And then you have everybody else. Now, they took us at 2 a.m. They woke everyone up, said, hey, we're going to go to Arafah. We're going to beat the traffic. I said, okay. So we get to Arafah. We take this walk. We get to Arafah. And again, you enter into a luxury resort. It's green turf. They put green turf everywhere because apparently it doesn't get hot. So there's green turf everywhere. There's water fountains. There's food. There's just food everywhere. There's coffee and tea everywhere. The staff everywhere. But again, here you are thinking, oh, wow, the Saudis did a great job. But you're just 1%. And the rest of the people aren't getting that. But in any event, you benefit from that. And I appreciate the effort of the people to host the Hujjaj. You only benefit from it if outside of Hajj, you know how to sit down for dhikr and dua. Because that's ultimately what the day is for, right? That's what you're there for. If you don't know how to do that, then you need the imams to sort of lead you on. It's almost like if you take me to a marathon and you say, listen, we're going to walk this marathon. We're going to walk and run. I'm not going to know what to do because I don't do this, right? Unless I had a leader. And the leader says, all right, let's go now. Let's walk. Let's take a break. Let's run. Let's take a break. Let's have lunch. Let's take a long walk. Let's run a little bit. That was the job of the imams there, which was nice because there are a lot of imams there. I met a lot of different imams there that I had never met before. But that was the role of all the imams that are there, is that people don't actually know they don't know how to do extra ibadah. It's just not something. And when you look around and you see people literally spending the entire Hajj on their phone, eating and sleeping, and you realize, no, they need murshids. They need somebody to say, oh, right now we're going to stop. We're going to recite the adhkar. And they respond to it. They're like, oh, okay, thank you. We didn't know what to do. Right now, we're going to stop. Everyone's going to do a silent dua for themselves. Right now, we're going to stop. We're going to listen to this talk. Right now, we're going to stop, and we're going to review a lesson of what our schedule is in Hajj, because there's so much movement in Hajj, you can get confused. So, imams and murshids are so important in Hajj, because a lot of people simply do not know how to make ibadah. And I have to say, a lot of people, the deen is not something they learn what to do. Even when there are some founders of masajid. They're masakin. He's just like an engineer or a lawyer or accountant or a dentist. And he opens a masjid, and besides praying 5 times a day and having Jum'ah, he doesn't know what to do. The idea of developing spiritual development is not something he knows anything about. So you have to give him a udhr for that. You got to give him an excuse for that. He doesn't have no clue about this. So if it weren't for the imams and the murshids there, most people's hajj would be sitting, scrolling on their phone because there's plenty of data and Wi-Fi and everything. Going to eat because there's plenty of food. There was so much food, you started to feel guilty about where it's all going. And there was so much food. I'm telling you, there were like 3 rows of buffet. There was easily over 12 different things, right? Like appetizers, cheese boards, jams, rice. There was even an octopus biryani.
What?
Yeah. Palau, sorry. Octopus palau. Yeah, you know the palau is the brown rice? And I'm looking at it. I sent it to the brother next to me. I can't remember who it was. The guys I hang out there were the Miftah brothers. Two of the 3 brothers I hung out that I roomed with them. Mufti Abdul Rahman who's a complete riot.
From where?
Michigan. Miftah. Mufti Abdul Wahab and Abdul Rahman, his older brother. And then the oldest brother I didn't see. He wasn't there. But these guys are a complete riot. Right? You know someone's a riot when you're sleeping and you're like, okay, tomorrow's the first day of Hajj. I'm going to sleep early. At 3 a.m, someone comes in with a bucket of fried chicken and Pepsis. And we're ready to party, I guess, right? I was in denial at the beginning, but we're sitting there the night before Hajj. And I'm saying, I'm going to be disciplined. I'm going to sleep and be rested and all that. Then I turn and I'm smelling a bucket of fried chicken and a bunch of Pepsis. And it's 3 a.m. And all right, I guess it's party time. But they're a complete riot. But it was actually one of the highlights of the trip was rooming with those 2 brothers. And one of the other organizers, Waleed Jabr. But that was one of the highlights of the trip. And I can't wait to hang out with them again here stateside. But point being is that I think it was him. And we're looking, I'm like, what part of the chicken is this, right? What part of the meat is this? Turns out it was an octopus palau, right? So now let's continue on. We get to Arafah, complete luxury, we're benefiting from it. Really try, and actually there's a host of a website called Mabrur Essentials. And he's actually gave me a great hack. And he said that Yom Arafah, he doesn't eat. He just has puts stuff in drinks, in water, puts some powder in water, and he has protein bars. So I didn't go that far, but I had really small meals. And that's the key. Because if you eat a lot, and they will feed you a lot, you'll just fall asleep. So this Dr. Kiswani, he's the head of a website called Mabrur Essentials. If you want to make Hajj and you don't know how to do it, you need to go to this website. Let me actually go to it. Omar, why don't you go to it right now and fire it up on the screen? MabrurEssentials.com. Okay, yeah. And he will coach you from A to Z on how to make Hajj. And he is the brother who actually let the almost set the web on fire way back in the day. I don't know if you remember this, Omar, if it was me or it was Orion was at the helm or if it was you. But way back when Hajj was run by a company called Muwaffaq. What was it called again? No, not Muwaffaq. It was not Muwaffaq at all, but literally. But what was it called? Mutawaf. Hajj was run by a company called Mutawaf, and it was beyond disaster. It was really bad. He's the one who started tagging them, asking them the questions that he was having, where's my room? No one's ever heard of you, right? The people at the hotel have no record of my name. He's the one who started tweeting at them. And that got everybody tweeting at them and got the whole Ummah to see how much of a disaster Mutawaf was. So he ends up saying, why don't I actually document everything? And this website is really clean, really simple. website here that will teach you everything you need to know about Hajj, and it will give you a mailing list even. You can get on a mailing list to know when to start signing up, how to start signing up, and all that information. Well, he gave me the hack of not eating a lot, and I hardly ate on Arafah, which is great. So you don't fall asleep. You don't need to go to the bathroom. It's wonderful. It's perfect. So while at Arafah, I had the honor of meeting Qalam's young sheikh. You know him, Omar?
There's a few. Which one?
Name some.
There's the Mufti
Muntasir Zaman. Yes. Yeah, I had a great time sitting with him.
He's really good in hadith.
No, he knows his stuff. So, point being, you meet, you talk, you meet different imams. I met the Imam of Cincinnati, huge community there. He's an Egyptian scholar. Then you do dhikr, you do ibadah, you make dua, you spend your whole time. Then that night, see, Hajj can be done in different ways. So immediately we went to Muzdalifah. We only spent half the night in Muzdalifah. Then we went off to Mina. We threw our jamarat. We shaved our heads. And then we rested up. Now the other group, though, from a tent area called Mu'aisim, they're about an hour off, and they suffered a little bit because they operated with government buses, which is, they're busy. It's like a hit or miss. So they suffered. So feeling bad for them and wanting to suffer a little bit too, I left my tent and I went to join their tent. And I spent 24 hours with them. And I felt that was actually, there's a different flavor of Hajj with that, when you're far away from the Jamarat. For those who don't know anything about what we're saying here, Hajj has a period of time where you have to stay in a place called Mina. And in Mina, hey Omar, why don't you fire up some pictures of Mina? You have to walk to do a ritual of stoning the devil. And it's a powerful ritual. It's like you feel that you are, it's powerful. Humans need to physically move their body to get the message across. Very few people are solely rational. You need to physically move your body. And the Jamarat is one of those rituals where you have to walk quite a distance in most cases. In that walking that distance, I think is one of the most beautiful things in the whole Hajj, because you get to see the whole Ummah. Right? Look at these distances you're walking. You have to walk. Look at these distances on the pictures that Omar has up. Okay? You're walking along, and this is nothing, by the way. This is maybe, you see, for the people who are looking at that picture, you see that parking garage? That's actually the Jamarat. Yeah. And it's behind it. Yeah, right there. So everyone has to walk quite a distance to throw pebbles symbolically at the devil. And look what it used to look like. SubhanAllah, tiny. Shaitan was tiny, now he's really big. But you get to see the whole Ummah, and you actually get to feel exhausted. And there's a pleasure in feeling exhausted, fulfilling your Lord's obligation. And there's a pleasure in the manifestation of Allah's name, Al-Qahhar, the dominator, the forcer, the compeller. You truly feel compelled. This is, I have to do this. And you're going to do this trip 2 or 3 times. The 3rd time is optional. Sorry, you're going to do it 3 times. The 4th time is optional. Except on the 3rd time, you're only doing stoning one pillar of the devil. There are 3 pillars. So on the first day, Yom An-Nahr, you're only doing Aqaba, which is 1 pillar. And the reason that this happened was that the devil tried to tempt Abraham from slaughtering his son. And he pelted him. And then he came to him again and he pelted him again. He came a 3rd time and pelted him again. That's why we do that. And humans learn and they get impacted from physical actions that they do. And that's why we do that. Hajj is all rituals that are symbolic for us. And so we end up walking. That walk, I think, is the meat and potatoes of the Hajj, because you really get to see the whole Ummah. You pass by maroon flags. Who's that? That's the country of, I don't know who. Another flag comes by. People walk with flags. When governments are in charge of the Hajj, not private companies, they put their government flag, or their national flag, I mean. So Kyrgyzstan, all these. And then Chad, Cameroon, Indonesia, all these nations. SubhanAllah, what an ummah. Sudan, what an ummah. That's just wave after wave of different people. And again, I would say the Saudi government did a great job in making sure there are no stampedes. And the way they did this was they have heat sensors in the tunnels. So there are some parts we have to walk through mountains, so it's a tunnel. And that's where the stampedes happen. Mostly the stampedes happen in tunnels because you can't go sideways. So they put heat sensors. And if it goes off, then they have a cop come in, halt the traffic for a little bit, for like until it eases up, and then they get to go again. So the other feature that the Saudi government did was that they actually cut down on all non-permitted Hajj. Now, Hajj, they have to monitor their country. They can't have people stampeding, getting heat waved, all because they don't have amenities, because they made Hajj illegally. That's what happened last year. So they ended up using drones this time around Mecca and Jeddah and Mina and Arafah to ensure, to see if there are people there who look like they don't have the badges, the official badge of Hajj. They give you a badge, or that they're unknown, and they have people go and check their paperwork. And if they don't check your paperwork, they take you to jail. If you're an American citizen, you're lucky. They'll give you a dinner and they'll send you home. If you're from a poor country, you could face up to 10 years ban on Hajj. Okay? And that's, who would want that? I don't know if it's a ban on Hajj or ban on the whole Hajj and Umrah. So you don't want that. And that actually decreased the traffic in the streets a lot, because those people who come to make Hajj illegally in Mina, they have no place to stay. They just stay in the streets. And it clogs up the streets a lot, and it makes a lot of noise. Now, some people were telling me that that's the spirit of Hajj, is to just be packed. Yeah, but the country is has other considerations. They got safety concerns. They get viewed, for example. They get assessed even by the international community. When this happens, it looks bad on them. When you had about 2,000 people getting dying because they were trapped somewhere that was too hot, or that they packed themselves where they shouldn't pack themselves, and 90% of those people were illegal. They were in Mecca and Mina illegally. So that's why Saudi couldn't serve them. 2,000 humans dying of heat stroke. Well, because you came and we couldn't accommodate you. So that's why they had to cut down it. So I'm actually very understanding of their need to give this thing control. Just put yourself in their shoes. You don't want chaos. Just because something is it's a good thing to do, it's a great thing to do. It doesn't mean we have to have chaos. And there's maslaha. There's masalih and mafasid. So it was completely taken care of. Now, the only thing they need to do is they need to get better servers for their website. The website experience was annoying as heck. But beyond that, I was talking to some of my friends. I was saying they really get an A+ in my experience. But ultimately, what is the real crux of Hajj? That's all just the physical element of Hajj. The crux of Hajj is that Allah will reveal two things to you. Number one, He's going to reveal his compulsion over you. And he will force you to do certain things. By going to Hajj, you've accepted the gentle compulsion, which is, I'm obligating you once in your life to come to this journey. So you've accepted that. Within the Hajj, the walking, the moving, all of these things, the different tribulations that will come upon you are going to be this compulsion. Allah is compelling you, and he's forcing you, and he's making you have patience, and he's testing you. That's the al-Qahhar. The second thing that Allah will manifest to you is his qurb and his wid and his mahabba and his karam, his generosity and all these other things. And that's because every speech that is given there, the scholars will talk to you about Allah's generosity. And that dua is so strongly answered. So strongly answered. It's as if the top lieutenants of the angels have been sent down with a blank check. They have and they give you the pen. Imagine when the creator of the universe, he gives you a blank check and you're handed a pen. Fill it out. What would you wish? So what you feel this hard and soft. These are opposites, right? So I'm being, on one hand, compelled to a great amount of discomfort and heat and hardship and a mile and a half going and a mile and a half coming and sleeping in a tent. Everyone's coughing. Symphony of viruses coming together from the international viral community. And I'm breathing it all in. I'm going to get sick, 100%. Yet, on the flip side, my abd, write what you wish. Today, you get what you wish. Of forgiveness of sins. And then his generosity comes in different things. I remember one time in the Tawaf al-Ifada, which is Tawaf al-Hajj, the main Tawaf of Hajj. I went around, had no attempt at all to get close to the Kaaba because there's just so many people. But I was on my last, like the Hajar al-Aswad was here, and I was here. And I was literally steps. I can count the steps before I hit the corner again, and my tawaf is done. Immediately, a guard yells at me, "Stop here, everyone stop. Finish your tawaf after Fajr." I said, "When is Fajr?" He said, "It's in another 40 minutes. But everyone has to stop." And they start making the rows. And I literally got to sit in the second row for 40 minutes. Yeah. For 40 minutes. From the tahajjud adhan until the actual adhan. In Hajj season, it's adhan iqamah right away. Like 5 minutes only in between. So, that's just like a sign of Allah's generosity. Right? So that's your Hajj update. And I think groups got to go out. Groups, we have to make groups again. And that's one of the things I'll be tracking on Mabrur Essentials and on Nusuk. How we can make group packages. Because it is really a trip that... And the next trip, by the way, you can go to buraqtravel.co. Omar, why don't you go to their website, load up their website. Right? And Mabrur at buraqtravel.co. Yeah, there. That's it. You can start registering right now, and we're targeting youth, and we're selling stuff. Anytime you see us selling stuff, it's for Umrah, for youth. And I think this time we're either going to have 2 of them 50% off, or 1 person fully paid for so far. We still got plenty of time to sell more stuff. Click on it. There it is. Are we on? Or have you shared the screen? Okay. So it's going to be me and Sheikh Nuh Saunders, and it's going to be in November 20th, Thanksgiving weekend. Let's go to the pricing scheme here. Where's the pricing scheme here? There, look at the pricing. A quad For students, $2,595. For adults, $2,895. Okay. And then the land package, that means get your own flight and meet us there for $1,800. The question from one brother was, I get that people want to be supportive of the hosts, of the Hajj, but what about he's saying only benefiting the rich and not the poor? So my answer to that is that the government is not hosting us in that sense. The government is not hosting you in terms of the amenities. That's being run by companies. Okay, it's not a donation; it's a company. It's a for-profit operation. There are 8, I believe, companies that are chosen to do this. So as a result of that, the result of that is that they actually have to work within the amount of money they're given by the customer. And that's why it ends up looking like the rich, of course, are getting the amenities, the poor are not. But when I say you're being hosted, yes, you are being hosted, but your host is also a business and needs to cover their costs and needs to, they can only work in the constraints of what they're given. So if a specific sector can only pay a certain amount of money or chose to pay only that amount of money, then that's the amenities that they're going to get. So when I say host, it's not 100% a host that is paying everything for you. If it were that, then yeah, what you're saying makes sense. But it's not that. They're actually companies. And they need to work within the confines of a budget. And it is permitted. Allah speaks about Hajj saying, وَلْيَشْهَدُوا مَنَافِعَ لَهُمْ. It's a place for people to have benefit, all kinds of benefits. Every live session is recorded. Lexus KMM is asking. Yes, every live session is recording. Now, let me close with this. And I haven't, and maybe Omar, you could actually go online and look this up. I finally got a chance to see the extension, the new Masjid al-Haram extension. And subhanallah, I was just blown away. Masjid al-Haram extension was done by a Christian Ivanov, whatever, German guy. I mean, just take a look at some of these pictures. Let's see, Omar is going to go through them here. Yeah, so you see that? That's one of 3. There's 3 of those. Behind it is a mass, almost like a Roman Colosseum. It goes up, 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 up. At each level, maybe 1,000 people could stand and pray. Right? So it's almost like, and we'll see it. We'll go picture by picture. But they have these massive, everything is white, and these massive lamps. And it's high. Every ceiling must be 40, 50 feet. There's not an inch except that they've given it some kind of, next picture. Massive lamps are hanging from the sky. Again, they use the light gray motif, which the Kaaba has had, the Masjid al-Haram has had 3 major expansions. The first one was by Ma'mar Sinan, the Ottoman. The second expansion was by Muhammad Kemal, the by the Egyptian, Muhammad Kemal, the Egyptian. And he didn't take anything for it. He didn't take any money for it. And he's the first one to utilize the marble. And he's the one who built the walls that are around Masjid al-Haram that we all see that are gray with the green roof. Okay. And this is a German architect, and his firm that put this together, that they built on that. The gray is a little bit darker on the outside and it's lighter on the inside. So you'll see that the original Masjid al-Haram and the extension is a bit darker. Maybe they just couldn't find that same marble. But it's the same motif. Everything is white marble on the inside. All right, next picture. And I'll go to the previous set of videos I put up on Telegram. Okay, take a look. All right, go through this now.
All right, so this is the entrance. Now it looks like there's a second little atrium area, courtyard area, which is massive. Wow. Gorgeous door here. Wow. So there's two courtyards here.
They're actually three.
Oh, wow. A second courtyard. Equally as big as the first one.
All right, pause. Oh, okay. No. Keep going. I didn't. Sorry.
Wow.
All right, pause it right there. Yeah, just go back to... Yeah, okay, now keep going a little bit forward. Yeah, stop right there. Now enlarge that. Okay, you see back... Keep going back. No, not with that back. I mean, with your mouse, not with... Yeah, right there. Those, I don't know if you can really see it, but it's like, it's 4 levels. And each level has like a courtyard, right? One above the other. It's almost like stadium. And they're almost like levels of where people would pray. It's hard to, I didn't really present it. Maybe in another picture it's presented better. So keep going.
And these are some gorgeous, gorgeous lamps up here. Wow. It's like a cathedral almost.
Okay, next video or picture. All right, from there you could it opens up to see the Kaaba. You're supposed to be able to see it. They have a construction wall there. But if you zoom straight into that, if you zoom in on that, Omar, you'll actually see the Kaaba right there. You see it? Yeah, right there. That's where the Kaaba... So these 3 atriums are lined up all to face the Kaaba. And it's only because they have a construction wall there that you can't really see it. All right, next picture. Yeah. All right, so that's again the interior. You literally feel like you're in a monument.
Extension is just something else.
It's that massive.
You got this, what they call that honeycomb features that first started in Andalus. These lamps. I'd swap out the temperature of the light, but that's just me. And this is one of many halls that are just like this. There are a lot of halls that are just like this, and you can actually see the Kaaba across a couple more halls like this. It's like a cathedral. Like if this was a masjid just by itself, you'd be like, wow, just this. And this is just one of the halls that are similar to this. They have 3 wings like this. Look, you see upstairs, similar, upstairs, 3rd floor, similar. Shay Ajib. It's like one of the wonders of the world. And you see the Kaaba right there.
To be honest with you, when you go there for the first time, let's go to the next picture, you cannot pray. You have to look at it. You can't pray. It's almost like being in a museum or something. You have to keep looking at it because it's just like physically like one of the wonders of architecture. And I couldn't even sit down to read Quran. Like, how could I ignore all this? I have to look at it. And it's possibly, you can argue that it's makruh from one angle, but possibly you could also argue that it's aggrandizing the symbols of Allah. And is there a greater symbol than the Haram and the sanctuary and this masjid in particular? Omar, go see online if you could see an image of the extension, Masjid Haram extension outdoors, because the way they did the cascading prayer areas is mind-boggling. And if you can get aerial shots, oh, this is a great aerial shot to show how massive these three, it's almost like three lungs almost. They're weird shaped. They're shaped like lungs almost. They literally do. Oh, this picture is amazing. Omar, go to right.
What about this? You kind of see like that stadium looking.
Yeah. Go to Omar. Write this down. Mecca Haram third expansion evolution engineering services. This picture is insane, and it will show you that the extension is bigger. The three wings of the extension. Salam alaikum. Kif haluk?
This one right here, I think.
Yeah, go into that, and not this one. Keep going down. No, it's out there.
Projects.
Yeah, maybe. Go to Mecca Haram third expansion. Oh shoot, the picture on Google is not. Get the picture on Google.
This one?
Yes. Don't click on it though, because it's not going to take you there. Just expand that, or or download that picture, and I want everyone to see this picture. Okay, this picture will show you that the expansion of Masjid Haram is actually way bigger.
That's huge.
Yeah, you can fit the whole current masjid 3 times into the expansion.
This is a rendering, right? Does it seem like
This is a rendering, I believe, but that is an accurate rendering of the size, because right now when we enter Masjid Haram, we're entering from, put your mouse somewhere. Yeah. Yes, we're entering from there. That's what we're used to entering from. Now look from back there, those 3 huge wings. Now zoom in a little bit, Omar, can you? Helipads, yeah. Yeah, for the prince got to come and make Umrah too. Listen, expand that real quick. Pinch that. Can you? I want to try to... yeah, okay. You see behind the helipad? Yeah, you see all that stuff? People would stand and pray there.
oh, like right here.
Yeah, it's almost like stadium seating, but for Salah.
Wait, like you're on top of the
Yes, you're standing there. Yeah, everyone is standing there. So
fall up.
now check this out. So if you're on the floor, that floor goes all the way back. If you're on the first level, that level goes all the way back. If you're on the second level, it goes all the way back. Exactly. It's almost like stagger stacked. Exactly. So it looks just the same way that cinema style seating, but it's actually rows for prayer. Right?
So I guess they're so people they can all see the Kaaba at the same time.
Exactly. They could all try to see the Kaaba. That's...
I don't know. I feel like being so above the Kaaba, like praying down.
yeah, well, you're...
You're standing up here, like you're looking at the top of the Kaaba.
yeah, but you're gonna be though.
It doesn't feel right.
No, but this they're saying millions now. Once they finish it, can be accommodated. If you're in one of these things, when you're in one of them, you feel like this is like, I feel like I'm in something bigger than the Roman Colosseum, and then it's just one. Then you keep walking, you pass by one of those barriers, and you enter a bigger one, right? Then you keep walking. The middle one is the biggest. You keep walking, and you hit the third one, right?
So where's the clock tower here? It's supposed to be
Opposite side.
right here.
Yeah, the shot is from the clock tower.
It's like the view is from the clock tower looking.
Yeah. This is the opposite side of the clock tower.
Doesn't it look like they're gonna do sections and make it a full circle, like that, section by section by section, 3 through 3.
See, so what you just said is that is actually one of the plans. You see this covers what? Let's say for 25%. Now they actually want to do this all the way around. Okay. And when they want to do this all the way around, that's going to entail taking down the clock tower.
Yeah, it looks kind of out of place, I think, at this point.
Yeah,
That's the theme.
because it's only one. It's only 3 sections. This actually is going to entail, believe it or not, from one of the things I heard, is they would have to take down the clock towers because it's in the way. But you can't demolish a building. There'd be too much dust. You have, when you take down a building in a city, you don't demolish it. That's inaccurate rendering too. Click on that. So people, you see what we're talking about? Stadium prayer and then an open area, and they're going to put fans there like Medina and Manawwara, umbrellas. I mean, yeah. Go back to that other one real quick. Yeah, and then put your mouse somewhere. All right. Yeah. See, there's going to put umbrellas in that sunny area right there. It's all going to be umbrellas. No. That's where people are going to pray. Yeah, I think they'll put umbrellas there too. They're going to put umbrellas there. They're going to put umbrellas there. But the umbrellas are going to be like all connected. Some kind of unique heat reducing. No, different material. Heat reducing material, right? But it's not only heat producing. The way the sun hits it will light up to form different colors as it comes down. And so it's going to be something more unique than just a simple old umbrella. And then if they reproduce that now all the way around,
This is gonna take a lifetime.
will take a lifetime. But what are you going to do with all that massive construction of the clock tower? So they want to take that down. And when you take it down, you literally have to take it down screw by screw because you can't demolish it. Yeah, you can't do that.
They can't stop operations. It's like
No, it's all working.
Clock tower, it brings in millions of people just to like they can stay there.
Yeah. Now, Omar, let's see more pictures of this new expansion.
there's this one right here for nighttime.
Yeah, look at that. That's what it looks like.
This is, you can kind of see I think these are people, looks like.
Yeah. That's just outdoor prayer areas on the left, and on the right, that's the expansion. So you get closer to, keep clicking.
So this is all done right now.
Yeah, it's all done.
None of these are actual pictures.
They're all done. You can pray there.
Oh, actually.
Yeah. There's still some touch-ups on the stadium area. There's still,
It looks like a stadium, literally.
yeah.
Like I can
Like the
imagine
Roman Coliseum.
you add like more sections around.
Mm-hmm.
It's like literally a stadium.
Keep going. Get more pictures.
Yeah, there's this one. I don't know if this is.
That's another, yeah, click on that one too.
This one is during construction, I think.
What is this, Ali?
Chai. Tried a new
By
recipe.
who?
Tried it.
I like it. It's good.
Why is it in a mug?
I made it.
Like downstairs?
Yeah, I cleaned up the one.
No, I thought you got it from your coffee shop.
It's a little salty. Like,
No, it's good.
caramel.
It's good. The amount of cranes is unreal. It's in. Okay, keep going. Yeah, you got us more pictures here.
Look at that picture, the one with the clock tower. You can see.
Oh, this is
Look at that.
Yeah.
this is a nice picture.
Yeah, you see what we're talking about? This is way early in construction. Yeah, zoom in more if possible.
This is good.
Yeah. So you see how the middle one is actually almost double the size of the left and right one. I think they could keep going until they hit Safa and Marwa.
Wait, so this is okay. Where's Safa and Marwa from here? Where are we looking at? Where's Safa and Marwa?
Safa and Marwa is,
This is the clock tower. So when you go,
keep going up,
it's like
keep going up.
it's here, right? It's Safa and Marwa.
Yes, correct. Correct. Yeah. That's why,
It's behind when you go to clock tower. It's this way.
exactly. Yeah. So therefore they can keep going, let's say 6 o'clock. Imagine it's a clock, right? So they have covered from 9 o'clock to 6:30. No, 7 o'clock. Imagine it's a clock, right? You go left, that's 9 o'clock. You go down, that's 7 o'clock. they can keep going to 6 o'clock to 5 o'clock. Now they have to start demolishing buildings for them to keep doing that. And they could go all the way around, but they'd have to stop at As-Safa and Marwa. Unless they just build around that.
They can redo that.
They could build around that. All right, now I'm going to go outside again. Go back to Google. There's another picture I wanted to see. Keep going down. Yeah, go to that official rendering image. Historic Masjid al-Haram extension. Up. That one, yeah. Click on that. And that's okay. Again, you see at the top this. Oh, yeah. Again, it's the same idea. That stadium seating prayer. That's going to be an amazing thing to see. People praying in rows upwards like that. All right, more pictures.
Someone said this was the first render. This was the first render they.
Oh wow.
To do this, but it got declined.
That's sloppy. That's a terrible
Just
one.
one row.
That's terrible. But just imagine click on that. The German company that got this contract must be the. That's exactly how they want it to look.
You feel like it was a good call to go with German company? No.
Who else are you going to go with? Who's good? Right? I mean, for him, it's a plan of this is a job of a lifetime. You're never going to work with this much marble in your life, this much size in your life, this much blank checkbook in your life, right? Only problem is, I don't know if they're going to let him in to see the final product, right? He's this German artistic-looking dude, Christian. You can look him up. Who is the? Let me look him up back. Yeah, look him up, Omar. Look up third expansion architect Christian something. But for him, I mean, I'm sure he employed hundreds of thousands of Muslim. Yeah, because he doesn't know anything about the calligraphy, all that stuff.
Sinisi Architects, Avicii Architects, and Arup.
What's his name? No, that's not him. It's Christian something. His name is, or Christopher something, or Christoph something. Yeah, go to what is the third expansion of Masjid al-Haram? People ask. No, it's not. That's him. Click on his Instagram and his stuff. You'll see more awesome pictures. Christoph Ingenhoven. That's the guy right there. Show everybody. That's the dude right there who is the architect, the mind behind the design. Now, go to see if his Instagram is there or his firm's Instagram, because they have amazing renditions. And they show you what kind of umbrellas they're going to use. They're not going to use regular umbrellas. They have different ideas for what the umbrellas will look like. Yeah, Christoph Ingenhoven. Yeah, keep going down until you see his. I mean, he's done a lot of different jobs, but this is for sure, no doubt, the biggest job that he's ever done, and that anyone's ever done. I think it's the biggest architectural project in the world. Can you think of something bigger than this one? And now we'll cover this in a second. Yeah, click on Saudi Arabia. There you go. Where is it? There you go. Look at the umbrella style that he wants to have. That's one of the images. He has many different images. So that's what the umbrellas would look like. Yeah. You see that? That's one of the renditions he has. Keep going.
It's like a jellyfish.
It does look like a jellyfish.
Inspiration.
Yeah. Keep going. He has more. He has different styles. This is just one rendition. Keep going.
There's definitely a message behind it, but I just don't know what it is. Like all these architects, there's always something.
There's always something. That looks like a jelly. I think it's a jellyfish.
There's always something behind it.
I prefer the palm tree look, but it does look like a
I think palm
jellyfish.
tree makes sense. There's always a symbolism behind it.
Yeah. Palm tree is better than...
Palm tree makes sense. I think. Maybe he has like a reason.
Keep going.
They're always doing like for a reason.
Look at the... Keep going. Look at that. It's like all covered. The sun won't touch anybody. Keep going.
Well, that's up on Marwa, and then this is.
Yeah, that's Safina Marwan.
Looks like a palm tree or a jellyfish, something like that.
Oh, it's opening and closing.
I don't know if I want jellyfish to be on my mind when I'm at Hajj.
Say palm tree.
Yeah.
All right. That was nice.
There's another one. He has another page for his firm, I think. That's his personal page, maybe, but
No, that was his website.
that was his website. Okay. I saw before that.
There's this other page. Associates.
Now they're planning the same thing in Medina too.
Same architect?
I don't know, same architect or not, but Christoph Ingenhoven is the architect for Mecca. It would make sense to bring the same guy for Medina. There was one image that I'm looking for here of the style of umbrellas that he had. It was really unique, something that you never seen before. Almost like science fiction. The umbrellas that were, but in any event, we've seen enough. Now go to the Al-Medina expansion. Let's take a look at the expansion of the sacred mosque in Al-Medina al-Munawwara.
Third Saudi expansion?
Yeah. Yeah. So that one, Medina is a lot simpler to navigate. People go to Mecca and they find it to be extremely, extremely complicated because of the way the mountains are, the way Safa and Marwa is, and the way people need to make tawaf. But you go to Medina and you find it really simple. It's just flat and it's a rectangle. And the Prophet ﷺ is at the front corner. And the Rawda is in the middle, front. But it's so easy to expand Medina. Let's see any pictures.
Prayer in Medina, though, it's a bit more.
Yeah, there's no tawaf. What did you say? It's a bit what?
Like the Kaaba, everyone knows it's face the Kaaba, but sometimes you have people in Medina.
Yeah.
Like they're like all confused. They're praying behind the Imam sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Front of the
Yeah.
Imam. That's the thing about Medina.
Can you get the pictures of the Masjid expansion in Medina? I mean, how are they going to expand it? It's just literally it's an X and Y axis and you're dragging one wall across. That's it, right? Because the expansion in Medina it's just a rectangle. So it's a lot easier. Medina is a lot easier to navigate.
I don't know which one it is. Is it third?
Yeah, this is the third expansion. I'm looking here at Arab News. King launches largest expansion of the Prophet's Mosque. I'm looking for pictures here. They put pictures.
Is it this right here? It says like some Turkish mosque.
I'm looking for renderings myself. Okay, here it is. Oh, wait, it's literally it's a rectangle. Drag it out and drag it forward. That's literally all it is. Now, I'm sure it'll look beautiful and everything, but they're going to demolish a whole bunch of hotels, I'm sure. They have to. I'm on Pinterest. I'm looking at the expansion on Pinterest.
Can't really tell what they're changing.
No, they're just pulling it out. That's it. They just pull it out. So it'll be very similar. And one thing I just wish that they used some softer lighting in the Rauda area. They have to use these obnoxious white lights. Drives me nuts.
Used to have yellow lights and then they changed to white lights, right?
Yeah, it was like oil lamps back in the old days. So that's your news on al-Haramain al-Sharifain, right? And that expansion had started. You could see the signs of that. But everything is in the Gulf. You go for Hajj and Umrah these days, the Jeddah airport, the Medina airport, the Medina train station, the train station in Jeddah. Now there's a rail that's going to go to Mecca. It's all top of the line. And which is good because you're not like you're put in a state of comfort, and you're able to now think. You're able to now, contemplate the higher order things. But I'm telling you, this expansion to me, it was it's like one of the wonders of the world, but it's also like a little bit of a distraction because I couldn't pray when I first went in there. I'm like, I got to see this place. Yeah. It's like your mind naturally says, I have to go look. And you could walk for an hour and not finish it and discover more wings and more aspects of it. And when you're only go once a year or once every 2 years, you got to check it out. Can't miss the chance. That is the end of that Hajj segment. We now shift to, why don't you fire up that fatwa given to us by a Sheikh al-Maghili, in which he says very simply, someone asked today about those who say don't support or make dua for Iran. الشيخ المغيلي says أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم غلبت الروم في أدنى الأرض وهم من بعد غلبهم سيغلبون في بضع سنين لله الأمر من قبل ومن بعد ويومئذ يفرح المؤمنون بنصر الله ينصر من يشاء وهو العزيز الرحيم. Allah says in Surah Al-Rum, Alif Lam Mim, the Romans have been defeated in the lowest or the nearest area of the earth, and after their defeat they will be victorious. Between 3 and 9 years. The affair is to Allah. Before this and after this, meaning all affairs are for Allah. Nobody has independent power from God. And on that day, the believers will rejoice with the victory provided by Allah. He gives victory to whoever He wishes. He's all majestic, all compassionate. Sheikh al-Maghili says, if we're allowed to have happiness, rejoice, if the believers are allowed to rejoice by for a victory for the kuffar, and Allah calls it God's victory, when the victors are Roman Kafirs, Christians, okay? But it's for the benefit of Muslims, then it would be more obviously the case with the Shia, who are not kuffar. The Shia, in our theology, are not kafirs. They are mubtadi'ah. But Allah Ta'ala gives us an example with the Christians. And the Muslims are happy and rejoicing with the victory of God because it benefits. It's a shot against paganism. Even though the war wasn't even about Christianity or paganism. It's just a civilizational war for land and power. But the pagans took a shot and a defeat. And that makes believers in monotheism happy. And the Christians are closer to that than paganism. And the Shia are not worse than Christians. They're not kuffar. They're mubtadi'ah. So by analogy, if that is allowed, then it will be allowed. The same thing would be allowed, right? And therefore, the support that Muslims give to other nations, to other groups, is always circumstantial. In this circumstance, they are the people that you would support. And that's why that's our position on that. If we need to have a position, then that's our position. And ultimately, the conflict, as we're going to see, do they have a chance? Will they come out with a regime change and just have a secular stooge there? Where are the other forces? Of course, don't expect any of the Sunni forces to give them any support. But where is Hezbollah? Of course, Saudi is very happy about this, I'm sure, right? And they made, of course, a very nice gesture, I guess. They said, we're going to put up the Iranian Hujjaj in hotels and take care of them nicely. You know, it's a nice, they always have to play both sides. So it's a very nice gesture, but they're actually, nothing could make them happier in Saudi than to see the downfall of Iran. You just follow in the law. Israel claims it struck 12 missile launchers and storage sites. Missile launch and storage sites. Will Iran come out of this alive in terms of the regime? Nobody knows. The disinformation it's really, that's one of the things I hate about following these things, because let's take a look at the Wall Street Journal says a battered Iran signals it wants to de-escalate hostilities and negotiate. That's what the Wall Street Journal says. Let's go to CNN. Iran rules out all negotiations until it completes retaliation against Israel, which is true, right? Did two different Iranian spokespeople talk? You don't know what's true. So that's the frustration with following any news related to Iran, to any war, is that you simply go to two different websites, you get two different arguments. What else? 35 minutes ago, more missiles were fired.
There's 3 apparently, all intercepted.
And the wall is, I guess they're saying it's doing better than the dome. I mean,
Iran's just testing the water stand. Pretty clear.
Iran's national security advisor Zashi Hanegbi says that the military operation against Israel's security advisor, so it will not end before we damage the country's main uranium enrichment site, Fordo. Experts say that Israel will require U.S. help. As always, great. إلا بحبل من الله وحبل من الناس. What?
He said he recently made a post that there was one earlier that he said to evacuate Tehran, and then recently he said we can easily just assassinate Khomeini.
Yeah,
He's like,
but we're not going to do it.
he
Right.
said, if you want, we can easily assassinate you.
Yeah.
Like, we know exactly where you are.
Yep. U.S. President Trump is meeting national security team. Meeting comes as Trump weighs whether the U.S. should deepen its involvement in the escalating conflict or not. President Trump says we have complete control over the skies over Iran. Iran's new military chief, Abdurrahim Musawi, says Tehran has only launched attacks to deter Israel, and punitive operations will soon be executed. I don't know if they're going to do anything, to be honest.
Israel?
No, Iran. I really don't know if anything's going to happen, because, wouldn't this be the time to do it? Do you think you can escalate them down? Is Israel going to be escalated down from this? Yeah. So you're just keeping tabs, and everyone talking heads, saying stuff. Trump may step into the war against Iran at another time.
Who said this?
Trump.
He said that himself?
At another time. So it seems like he is basically saying, yes, I want to, but I will. In other words, to please the Zionists, I will, but at another time, to please the Americans.
Expresses support for Israel, calls Iran source of instability.
Yeah. I want to talk about something else. There's not much to say, to be honest, besides do you follow the news? Following the news on this.
We'll get Sammy on
Yeah. Yeah. Egyptian Zahi Hawass was on Joe Rogan. And to be honest with you, he got an unfair shake. And I'm not defending somebody just because he's Egyptian, obviously. But the clips looked really bad of the most knowledgeable archaeologist on the pyramids in the United States, in the world. His name is Zahi Hawass. He's the official keeper of the antiquities of Egypt for over 40 years. Nobody knows more about that area than him. He reads hieroglyphics and the whole shebang. His talk on Joe Rogan, the clips were really bad. He just looked unprepared. He kept saying, it's in my book. He kept saying, I discovered this, I discovered that. Those clips looked really bad. Truth be told, his evidence is stronger than anyone else. Like his arguments, his theories for what actually happened in Egypt to build the pyramids. I watched half of it. From what I saw, he's much stronger than a lot of the other idiotic arguments, like aliens came down and built it, right? That's the guy. Yeah. Oh, he is roasted. He's roasted worldwide. But I said, I want to give this a fair shake. And I listened to it, and I got halfway through, because it's 2 hours. I got halfway through. The guy, he has the best theory, that the pyramids were simply just built by people. Like, there's nothing else, right?
That's so funny.
See, all of Joe Rogan's alien fans, you know, they love these theories of aliens, right? They can't, they don't accept it. Okay? Right? They don't accept it. But when you listen to his actual content, I accepted it. This guy's gone discovery after discovery of graveyards of workers. He can even give you the hierarchy of the workers, the names of the positions, how many people were in each position, how the stones got from place to place, how they got the stones up, what was the purpose behind building it, how many years it took, who was the ruler at the time. All those people who really judged him off some clips, which were pretty annoying. Yeah. But if you actually listen to his content, it made sense. So I think it was a case of, I don't know what I don't want to say it's like bullying, but it was just a case of, to me, no, I thought he was actually, made sense what he was saying. And just getting the unfair end of the stick. All right, let us now turn to the Q&A and the comments and what everyone has to say. All right, here we go. Pyramids are simple work, just lots of it. And they had a lot of labor, says Samuel John Holt. These guys want aliens. They will not stop until your theory is aliens. That's ultimately Joe Rogan's shtick, basically.
It didn't make sense.
It could be. It could be. It could be. Bushra Begum, please make dua for my daughter Rabia, who has come out with psoriasis. Allah Ta'ala give her a shifa, success and shifa. Can we write Q&A? Yes, please do. What happened to court case with your goat? No, it was taken care of by the lawyer. Alhamdulillah, I didn't have to go. I wanted to go. I actually wanted to record it. Is praying your sunnah as same as praying your fard? For example, 4 rak'ahs fard, do you pray the last 2 rak'ahs same as sunnah? In terms of the form of the prayer, they're the same. 2 rak'ahs, let's say, except that the fard has to be out loud. It has to be out loud. You have to hear yourself. And so you pray your 4 rak'ahs fard, let's say, and then you want to pray nafil after that. You just salam out and pray 2 rak'ahs nafil that will appear like the last 2 rak'ahs of your fard. So the units look the same. For those who are just joining us, who don't have knowledge about this thing, the prayer in Islam is divided between the ritual prayer and general your own supplication with God that you could do at any time. We also call that prayer. Your own supplication with God has no limits, nothing, as long as what you're saying is not directly against somebody else. That's like some of the prohibitions in prayer. You cannot say, oh, Allah, kill this person. Oh, Allah, just make these 2 people divorced. That you can't. You can't do anything harm. As for that, that's it. You can pray with any language, however you want. But when we say the word salah, being the ritual prayer that has preconditions, including something called wudu, which is to wash your body, certain limbs of your body, your face, your arms, wipe your head, and wash your feet to your ankles. And then there are certain times for these prayers. And these prayers divide into 3 categories. Obligatory prayers that you get punished if you miss them. You have to pray them. Then sunnah prayers, which are, you really should not miss them without an excuse. And then nafilah, just extra prayers that you do from yourself. Within each prayer, the unit is called a rak'ah. The unit is called a rak'ah. And that unit, a rak'ah, consists of standing, reciting Quran, bowing, praising God, standing again, thanking God, prostrating, supplicating to God, sitting and supplicating again, and then sitting again to say certain words of praise of God. And then exiting is Assalamu alaikum. That's it. That's how you exit the prayer. That was a unit. So each prayer will be either 2, 3, or 4 units. A unit being a rak'ah. That's your introduction to the prayer of Muslims, for those who do not know anything about this. I want to also point you to the fact that the Surah Al-Mulk tafsir is being released 1 video at a time. And Omar, if you could show everybody what that looks like. It's on the YouTube channel, and you'll see the screen, the thumbnails for it. Okay. If a bank gives a cash incentive on opening a checking account to make the initial deposit, is it riba? No, it's a gift. It's a gift. What do you think different ministers in Muslim countries are saying, that we're next after Iran? No, because half the Muslim countries already are capitulators. Who's really standing up against Israel? For example, would Egypt need to worry about Israel? No. Egypt runs to please them. You should have seen what the government did with the aid that's coming in to Gaza. There's an aid truck coming from Tunisia to Gaza. The Egyptian government sent out thugs to go stone it and pebble it and throw trash at it. And the Egyptian people were like, no, we support this. An aid truck. It was a shame. I'll read it to you. A shame and an embarrassment. I'll read it to you. Yeah. Shameful and vile. The Tunisian, Moroccan, Algerian caravan heading to provide aid in Gaza. Look at what the Egyptians are doing. Omar, I'm going to send this to you. And if you can kindly put it on. Adi, see, what you doing tonight? You want to come with us? We're going to meet the Thinking Muslim podcast. I have an interview with them.
What time?
On Sufis and Jihad.
What time?
We leave here at like 5:30 tonight. Staten Island, New York. Omar, go into WhatsApp and play that video I just sent you. I had a little toenail operation. How do I make wudu? Just around that, around the bandage. That's it. Don't get the bandage wet. Look at this disgusting behavior the Egyptian government has sent out, allegedly, according to Khaled Beydoun. The Egyptian government sent out thugs and ex-cons. Look at this. Huh?
So the white guy that was like trying to give a heartfelt talk to the Egyptians.
I didn't see that, no.
جابوهم بالميسر خلصوهم شوفوا اش يديروا هادو المتعاطفين مع فلسطين شوفوا هادو اش يديروا شوفوا هجموا علينا بالتشيوات وبالهراوات تيسكوا علينا شوفوا اش يديروا كيكون خويا كلشي مثالي شوفوا هادو اش يديروا جابوهم باش يبقاو يسكوا علينا هانتوما شوها عباد الله هادشي تبارطاجا كلشي حنا راه باقيين هنايا تقتلونا غندخلوا فلسطين باش ما بغيتو اشوف ديروا اللي بغيتوا هانتوما شوفوا شحال جابوا يا هادو المصريين جابوهم الكيران ها هما الكيران ها هما جابوهم.
So when somebody says, hey, are the other countries worried that Israel's coming up next? No, of course not. They're not next. They're the biggest supporters of Israel. Half the Ummahs, these governments are against. Huh? There, you got them. Where are you going, IDC? Yeah, 5:30 we leave here, inshallah. All right, take care. Dark chocolate walnut. I want to keep my Hanafi fist-length beard, but family doesn't like it. They want to keep it shorter. Go get Dr. Salah Abul Hajj. Look him up and look at his beard. He's one of the biggest authorities in the Hanafi school. So if you want to make taqleed of him and take his fatwa, he doesn't hold that the fist length is required. I know many Ahnaf will not like that I'm saying that. I'm not saying what's right and wrong in the Hanafi school. I'm just telling you what your madhab, your imams currently say. At least one of your imams. What are the best post-Hajj practices and perspectives? Somebody here was from the Hajj group. And we pleasure of crossing paths with you and my brother during Hajj. Can you kindly advise on post-Hajj practice? And that's Naba Azam. So the best post-Hajj practice, to me, honestly, I keep on my mind by always playing the Medina and the Mecca YouTube channel. I just play that. And that's what sort of keeps my mind on Hajj and on Mecca and Medina. All right, next question. Disadvantages of living in Medina, since you spoke about Mecca earlier. So there's no verse or hadith stating that the sins in Medina are double or triple. And hence, there are no disadvantages of living in Medina. It's only advantages. If a Muslim supports Israel over Iran, does that make them a munafiq? Well, let me just tell you this. There's a sect in Islam called the Khawarij. And the hallmark of this sect is that they only wage war on other Muslims, claiming to be purifying the ranks, and that they're more pious and know the truth better than anybody else, and they must purify the ranks. And that the only reason that there is no fitna, or that there is fitna, and that the kuffar are defeating the Muslims, the only reason is because the Muslims have left the right religion and they're now following misguidance. And therefore, they say, we will only purify the Muslim ranks, and when they never fight non-Muslims. So the description of the Khawarij, one of the principal descriptions of Kharijism and the Kharijites. The Kharijite is a person who left the group. You have the main group, they left the group, and they're like against the group now, claiming to be more pure than everybody else, claiming to be able to rectify everybody else. But when they deal with pagans, they're very nice with them, and they never wage war against the kuffar. They only wage war against other Muslims. That is one of the attributes of a Khariji. And that is nifaq, without a doubt. That aspect. We're not saying they're munafiq as in they don't believe in Allah. No. But when they act in a certain way that opposes the way they should act, that itself is called nifaq. Okay, nifaq al-amal. Luqman says, how should I dispose of a cloth with the name Muhammad on it in Arabic? You would cut it up. While you follow the Maliki madhab, did you have teachers of different madhabs? Of course. Had Shafi'i teachers, had Hanafi teachers in hadith, such as Mufti Barakatullah from England, Shafi'i teachers in tasawwuf and in aqidah. Navifa Hamid says, is fixing gaps between teeth okay for the purpose of beautifying? Yes, it is. Huh? Yeah, someone can get braces in Islam, yeah. Can we fold the pants to show our ankles in Salah? You can, but no, it's folded garment in Salah is makruh, unless there's a reason to fold them. But if you look at a hadith, there's a hadith that speaks about this because of it looks unkempt. Therefore, there is a hadith stating about the discouragement of having folded sleeves and pants in Salah. But the sinfulness of the long garment has a illah, and that is the illah that you are attempting to show off by that. Like the old Roman togas, long toga to show how rich you are. Keep in mind, you could follow up Surat al-Mulk. The lectures are out, or the videos are out. One is coming every single day for the next month to help people memorize and understand the meaning of Surat al-Mulk, and you'll see those in our YouTube channel one day at a time. They're coming out. Can you mention the importance of contemplation and self-reflection in the life of a Muslim, says Adam Nata. Well, I would put that at the top level, because our deeds are not accepted by Allah unless they're sincere. Firstly, you wouldn't even go into religion unless you contemplated in the first place. Contemplation is greater than worship. There are narrations stating that the contemplation of 1 hour is better than a whole 1,000 nights of worship. This contemplation will motivate you to think about higher order things in life. Contemplation is needed to help you purify your intention. Like, what am I doing? What's my point? What's my purpose here? Who was Muhammad ibn al-Munkadir? Muhammad ibn al-Munkadir was from the Tabi'een, whom he was also, we could say, a type of waliullah. He was one of the awliyaullah. And so much so that the great Imam Malik ibn Anas used to say, I would feel my heart get rusty and all I would need is to go visit Muhammad Munkadir and look at him for a little bit of time, and then I come back. And my heart was fresh for 40 days. When someone like at the caliber of Malik ibn Anas says that, what does that tell you about the great tabi'i Muhammad ibn al-Munkadir? Somebody, Khabib Nurmagomedov, I'm sure it's the real one, says on Safina Society NBF 308, Hassan Spiker said, if someone says that Jesus alayhi salam died on a cross, this is not kufr. No, it is clearly kufr. Who said it's not kufr? I don't know if he said that, first of all. No, I don't know if he said that. I don't know. I'm not sure that that's exactly what he said. I would have to go back to see if that's exactly what he said. But the Quran clearly says, وَمَا قَتَلُوا وَمَا صَلَبُوا. He wasn't even on the cross. Prophet Isa was not even on the cross. مَا قَتَلُوا وَمَا صَلَبُوا. Forget killing him. They didn't even put him on the, because you could put someone on the cross and take him down. And he lives. Right? You could put someone on the cross with a cloth or with nails. But either way, being put on the cross, the Quran negates that he was on the cross at all. So I don't know if what exactly was said on that, but yeah, it's clearly goes against the Quran to say that Sayyidina Isa bin Maryam was put on the cross. هذا كفر بالله. Okay. هذا كفر بالله. He's got a timestamp there. Okay, so go check it then. Also, where was your intellect when he said this? What? Who the heck are you? Get this person off there talking to me like that. Who are the most accessible awliya? The dua. The righteous da'i. The righteous da'is are the most accessible of the awliya if they're pious. Not everyone who does da'wah is from the awliya, but if they're pious. Does Muwatta Imam Malik have hadith in it that are weak? No. The chains here were so short, and all of his chains are sound. Shafi'i at the time before Bukhari was written, he said this is the most authentic book on the earth after the book of Allah. Are the 12 or Shi'as in the fold of Islam? The Shi'i groups in general, they're categorized as innovating sects because they part with what is explicitly transmitted in the religion. Okay. But they do not enter into the category of disbelief unless they negate what is known in religion by necessity. Secondly, there are some groups that are Shia groups that are kuffar, such as the Nizari Ismailis. Why? Because they negate prayer. Not they don't pray, they don't believe in prayer. Okay. But the 12ers are not from that. And that was the qiyas that Sheikh al-Maghili made. All right. Can you ever get reward for good deeds without intention? For example, you go and you establish the prayer, but that ends up causing the whole house to pray behind you. That would be an expansion of the deed, the intention to pray the fard. So you intended fard, and Allah gave you far more than that. So we can't say it's a deed without intention because you did have an intention. But your intention was smaller than what Allah gave you. Your intention was just the fard. You ended up being the cause for everyone else praying. So that's muda'afatul hasanat, increasing and doubling up a person's reward. Why is it that some matters are disliked by Allah and they are not in the category of halal and haram? For example, the Prophet ﷺ said, one who don't marry is not one of us, or divorce is the most disliked by Allah. if they're disliked by Allah, then they are in the category called makruh, the category of karahiyah. Right? Karahiyah, discouragement. So they are in that category. Divorce is makruh. Divorce can be halal sometimes, can be makruh, because there are different reasons you would have a divorce. Yes, it ends up as divorce, but it ends up as a divorce, but there may be different reasons for the divorce. So even divorce has different rulings on it. Okay. But for example, the hadith of whoever doesn't marry is not one of us, that means whoever intentionally believes that that's not exactly the wording of the hadith in the first place. The wording of the hadith is, I marry, I sleep at night, and I pray at night, and I fast some days, and I break my fast some days. فَمَنْ رَغِبَ عَنْ سُنَّتِي فَلَيْسَ مِنِّي. Who thinks he has a better sunnah, he's not one of us. Meaning, you're not fulfilling your rights to your Prophet, and you're in a state of innovation at this point. You think you know better than the Prophet. The Prophet married. Are you now saying marriage is no good? So, it's the correction of the belief and the practice. To worship Allah by not marrying, the Prophet negated it completely. To not sleep the whole night and pray only the whole night, he negated some of it. He said, no, sleep some and pray some. To fast every day, no, you fast some and you break your fast some, which is the 2 Eids at the bare minimum. So he adjusted 2 and he canceled 1. And so that is a wrong belief about for a Muslim to have, to think that by being celibate, then you're gonna be better. But if a person happens not to marry, such as Imam al-Nawawi, he happened not to marry. It's not that he believed it was better. That's permitted. I found out about the 4 madhabs, somebody says. Well, that's good. That's one of the purposes of this live stream, is to teach people about the 4 madhabs, and that's where we get our religion from. All right, where did the comment go? Because it jumped. Where is he? Where are you? I lost it there. All right, let me here it is. I found out that the 4 madhabs don't see the consent of Jariyah as necessary for her owner to be intimate with her. No, we looked at this in Qurtubi. The consent is not needed in terms of making it halal as a precondition, meaning that if he doesn't take consent, it would be zina. That's what they mean by that. It's not zina. It's never zina. That doesn't mean it's halal for him to do whatever he wants at any time in whatever way he wants. So this is a good question, because you maybe read something but didn't understand it. What he means here is that consent is not necessary to transfer this from halal from zina, muharram, forbidden zina, to permitted relations. Consent is not needed. The ownership itself is the consent. But what the books of tafsir and fiqh do say is that it's same in marriage. Forget jariyah, marriage itself. And that's much more clear consent than a slave. The slave, that's part of life. Back in the old days, you got taken as a slave. But in marriage, she's consenting to be your wife. She knows that intimacy is part of this relationship. So does that mean that I can never be sinful in how I go about acting upon that? No, of course, you can be sinful. You could be sinful if you hurt somebody, if you injure somebody, if you are bothering somebody. So you would never be considered having committed zina or rape, but you will be considered having committed harm, right? You harmed, and you could be sinful for that. And she could have a right to be upset about that, and a right maybe even to take you to a judge for that. The manner by which you do the halal has parameters. It says the consent is not needed to make it halal. That's all it is. It's already halal. Now, the manner in which you do it can render you sinful in the sight of God or not. I hope that answers this question. Same thing with this one. All right, let's go back to this question by Luqman Rashid. Says, those responding to Dr. Salah Abul Hajj's opinion on the beard say he mistook the recommendation of trimming down to a fist length for growing to a fist length, merely being a recommendation. Allahu Alam. He's a giant in the fields. Probably it's not going to be that simple. And Omar is saying it's not just him who says that. Others say that too. And Allah knows best. I can't give you the final say. No one's going to give us the final say on the matter. The ulama within themselves are differing on it. Let's go to Nigm. He says, a person lives with an atheist boyfriend and claim that she can't get married without her mother's permission. The world we live in is inverted. Please, Sheikh, help with your advice. What advice can I give? She's a woman who has an atheist boyfriend. So that's two layers here. And she's saying she can't get married without her mother's permission. Where did she get that from? That's what she's worried about? Or is that he's an atheist and she already is living with a boyfriend? So we have many layers here. At this point, we put our hands up in dua for this friend of yours, because there are layers here at work, and that's the Ummah that we're living with, right? And that's who we have to serve. We have to reach out to them before it gets to this situation. And when it gets to that situation, oftentimes there's nothing you could do. People made up their mind to live a certain way. Maybe they don't even believe in these principles. We assume people believe, because they have Muslim names, that they really believe in Islam. Nigma is saying, no, the family claims she can't marry without her mother's permission. No, she can't marry the guy anyway because he's an atheist. A Muslim woman can only marry a Muslim man.
No, I think what he's saying is the mother has an atheist boyfriend. That's what he's saying. You go back.
And you never need, no man needs his mother's permission. No woman needs her mother's permission to marry, except if it's like for the blessing of it. But to render it a valid marriage, a mom's permission is not needed. And if the girl has never married before, and she doesn't know the world of men, then she does need her father's permission. And if she has married and divorced, or married and the guy died, then she does not need her father's permission. She needs to have her father with her, but she doesn't need his permission.
So it seems like they're saying that the girl comes from a family who think they're Muslim, but they're contradicting their own faith. So the family is discouraging this girl from marrying a pious Muslim man, and they want her to live with her mother who lives with an atheist boyfriend, and claim that she can't get married without her mother's permission. So
Okay,
I think
so
the mother's the one who's like...
So this is a big drama. So in that case, you can override that mother's denial, disallowance. Her disallowance of the girl, it's just for herself. But by Sharia, the girl can marry a pious Muslim man, even if her mother doesn't like it, since her mother is A, not her wali, but B, is herself a fasiq, since she's living with an atheist. Even if the guy was a Muslim, by the way. Muslim, Christian, Jew, or atheist, Hindu, or whatever. Doesn't make a difference. You cannot live with another man. You're a fasiq. And your word with us has no value. Now she can have some emotional manipulation. That's on you to get through that. How many times do I make istikhara, and how do I interpret the answer? You make istikhara as many times as needed until the matter becomes easy. When the decision becomes easy, like the matter is no longer complicated in your mind. Follow-up question. So it's not wrong if we choose not to marry for ourselves and don't think it in a way that its celibacy is better than marriage. Correct. It's not wrong. You're not sinful, nor are you in discouragement to say, like, right now I can't get married. But I believe in marriage. I believe the prophets knew best. But right now, I'm not ready for marriage. That's fine. What's the correct way to grow hair to the sunnah length for the men? It would be around here, between the earlobe and the shoulder. Okay. Is it permissible to take advantage of a 2.5% discount offered by a supplier for paying within 30 days instead of the standard 60? No, that is not riba, because at the outset of the deal, if he says, if you pay within 30 days, you pay less. You pay in 60 days, you pay more. But that's at the outset of the deal. So he's basically offering you two different prices and payment plans. That's halal for you to do. Nothing. That's not riba. In the Lives of Man series, you told Imam al-Haddad was blind. Yes, he was blind. How did he write a book? By dictating it. He would dictate his books. How would every blind person write a book? Same thing. And who is Imam al-Haddad? Imam al-Haddad, of course, he is from the Ba'alawi, the Alawi Sayyids. He is from the Yemen, Hadramaut, about 300 years ago. And he summarized a lot of al-Ghazali's work. And he is the one who wrote a lot about the Habaib al-Ba'alawi's prioritizing of da'wah. And the Habaib of Yemen, they do da'wah right now, oftentimes based on the philosophy or the ideas of Imam al-Haddad. And the Habaib al-Ba'alawi were responsible for da'wah. They did a lot of da'wah way before this, Imam al-Haddad. Most of Indonesia and Malaysia, the du'at there were Ba'alawis from Hadramaut region in South Yemen that went to India. Some of them lived there. They went back and forth. And then from India to Indonesia and Malaysia. And then they spread the da'wah there. And they're the biggest imams of da'wah there. 004 says, if I get a thought that is heretical, kufr thought, and make a facial expression that agrees with that, is it kufr? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given this ummah a very generous rukhsah, which is that we're not to be taken into account by our thoughts. We're taken into account by our words and our actions. As long as it remains in your thoughts and you don't act upon it, you are basically announcing to Allah that I don't believe in it until you act upon it. If a revert can only marry a Muslim, but their family will not allow it, should they remain unmarried for life? No, they should break away from dependency on their family. What does it mean their family will not allow it? Don't they have hands and feet? Can't they go and work and get another apartment and live their life? They have to break away from that family. The family cannot disallow you to do a basic human right or Islamic right as getting married. What happened to your goat? Yeah, the goat, subhanAllah, our goat, khalas. Eid comes, there are no more goats, and you know where they go. Is the facial expression not an action? No, we mean the action upon that deed. That's what we're talking about. Can one... Oh, I'm not going to answer that one. Can you explain... I have a new pen on this iPad, by the way. Yeah. If we make a dua in our head, does it count? Yes, it counts. Can you explain, once you said that Allah would forgive the kuffar who never heard the message when the messenger said 140 rows will be in paradise, 80 being from his nation and the rest from the other nations? The Prophet ﷺ said that, yes, I can't remember what the number is, but it could be, and Allah knows best, that these are the rows of people who entered paradise after accepting a prophet, rather than in total. Then you have people who are from the Ummah of Muhammad, people who are from other prophets, followed other prophets like Moses, people who followed Noah, etc. Like maybe that the Prophet was speaking about those only, and then not speaking about the others who entered Jannah because they never heard the message at all.
You want me to ask quick fire?
Sure.
So someone's asking, Sheikh, can you please explain what the Ash'aris and Maturidis say about human free will? When we commit sins, kasb and its relation to qadr and the will of Allah. Thank you.
Well, it's a very simple doctrine based on the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, خَلَقَكُمْ وَمَا تَعْمَلُونَ. He created you and what you do. All things that you see in the world are creations. Everything that happens is a creation. But behind the action, the physical action, is the intent. And we call that al-kasb. The Quran says, لَهَا مَا كَسَبَتْ وَعَلَيْهَا مَا اكْتَسَبَتْ. So if you make an intention, Allah creates it for you. The action for you. He's the creator of the action, but you are the recipient of the guilt or reward. Being guilty of doing something wrong or intending something wrong, or being rewarded for doing something right. So we have the kasb, which is the intention, and Allah Ta'ala creates the action. And there are times you intend something and Allah doesn't create it for you. That could be a mercy. If you intended to commit some sins, but you couldn't do it, that's a mercy for you. You get good deeds. Or you intend to do something good and Allah doesn't create it. So I intended it, but I couldn't do it. You get a reward for that. Or you intended it and did it, and you got the full good 10 times the reward. And if it was a bad deed, you intended it and you did it, then you get one sin. And the Prophet has a hadith on this. So you can make a table. Intended good, did it. Intended good, it was not created for me. I couldn't do it. Intended bad, Allah blocked it. Intended bad, and I did it. And the rewards there, it's plus 10, plus 1, 0, plus 1, minus 1. Is my table clear? So if you do it and it's a good deed, they call that tawfiq. I intended it and Allah gave it to me, created it for me. We call that tawfiq. That's the meaning of tawfiq. I intended something good and Allah gave me the success He created it for me. That's called tawfiq. Clear?
Someone saying, Sheikh, have you met Sheikh Abdul Aziz Suraqa? He translated the Shama'il Muhammadiyah.
Yes, I met him, and he's an imam in Saxe, Texas. Anyone who's in Saxe, Dallas, Texas, you can go and meet him there.
Is the 124,000 prophets true or false? It's differed upon whether it's authentic.
Yeah, 124,000, about. You have to say about, because we don't have a set number. It's about. And about 315 messengers from the 124,000. Next.
Is it possible for people like me who maybe commit major sins, minor sins, to be in the highest level in Jannah with the Prophet ﷺ?
It is possible because sinlessness is not a condition to attaining Firdaus. Next.
Is it sinful to break away from non-believing parents? How much distance is advisable?
It's not breakaway. It's where you have the right to do something and they're blocking you. You have at that point the right to do it, whether they're happy or not. But to ignore them where they're not bothering you and you're able to keep a good bond with them, you have to do that.
How you begin to call family towards good and forbid them from the wrong if you never had the habit of doing it previously out of fear?
If the family is older than you, I think it's tough, but I think that the best situation for you is to yourself live the good life, live well, be good, and your interaction with them, inshallah ta'ala, will rub off heavier than your words. Next.
What dua should we make against the oppressors shedding blood of our brothers and sisters if we shouldn't make dua against people?
No, when we say we shouldn't make dua against people, we mean in the wrong. People who don't deserve such a thing. But people who are fighting our Muslim brothers, yes, we make dua that Allah destroys them because we are physically obligated to destroy them in the first place. So by analogy, we should make dua for that. Right? Isn't it? Is some people who, by Sharia, war should be waged against them and they should be killed by Sharia. So therefore, dua for that is also acceptable. Next.
Someone saying, my left hand is bandaged and it can't touch water for a few days. Can I do tayammum?
Yes. your whole left hand, you could go around that. Only if 50% of your obligatory limbs are bandaged, then you make tayammum. Next.
Didn't Ba'alawis come to southern India?
Yes, they did. That's what we mentioned. By the way, everybody, keep tabs with the amount of scams that are going around. I'm sure everyone has heard about this, but the amount of scams has just gone through the roof.
Like, what do you mean? Specific? Anything specific? Just like overall, or is it something specific?
Text, many people.
Yeah.
Many people have fallen for text scams.
Especially warn your elders.
Text message scams.
Warn your parents and your grandparents.
Yeah,
especially. They're the ones that always fall for it. Or like the main people that would fall for it.
Next.
What is the limit of having good opinion about someone? Some people say having a good opinion about something that is clearly apparent.
Okay, it's a very good question. The limit of having a good opinion is where there's harm. And harm can be of the deen and of people. So we do not need to have a good opinion of somebody, let's say, or we should not be, a good opinion is misplaced if it would allow that person to continue harming people or misrepresenting the religion. So for example, if I happen to peek through somebody's window and I see that he's smoking and he's drinking, but that person did not intend to expose himself. So therefore, by not speaking about it, I don't harm anybody. There's no harm. However, if the person is in fact luring and having a party and inviting young people and corrupting them, then having a good opinion and saying, well, maybe he doesn't mean it, then you are allowing this harm to continue. We're actually not allowed to stay silent and to have a good opinion by staying silent or reinterpreting when somebody is publicly harming the community. He's harming the public. That's the limit. So the limit again is harm. Next.
How do you deal with common du'at who say Ash'aris are not from Ahl Sunnah? Was this a position held in previous generations? How did the ulama before handle it?
Maybe you can find some Hanabila who did say that Ash'ari are not from Ahl Sunnah, but they're the minority, and their ruling is not what the Ummah goes by. And the Ummah, including the bulk of the Hanbalis, not only do they go by that they're Ahl Sunnah, they're from the Imams of Ahl Sunnah. Find me any table of tafsir or chains of transmission back to the Quran and Hadith and Bukhari and Muslim and all the books that don't pass through Ash'ari. So they may disagree with an opinion and ijtihad and say that the Ash'aris are wrong about a certain ijtihad, such as Kalamullah. But they mean by that they're wrong in this area. In this subject matter, they're wrong. Wrong based upon ijtihad, based upon opinion. So that's all fine and good, but the Ash'ari clearly not only they're from Ahl Sunnah, the Ash'aris and Maturidis, they're the bulk of the Imams too. In that major period, let's say from 300, 400 Hijri until, let's say, the last few generations, the Ottoman Empire, and 1925 or something. Your bulk of your Imams between the subcontinent and the Arab world and North Africa and Indonesia and Yemen and East Africa, Somalia, and beyond the river, Afghanistan and all those lands will be from the Ash'ari and the Maturidiyya. And ultimately, this is from the work of Shaitan to get religious people off the course, is to let them fight about theology. And let's have Aqidah wars, and let's care more about Ash'ari and Maturidiyya than, helping regular people learn the Quran or get away from the tricks of Iblis. So keep in mind, this subject, the whole subject matter, is one of the tricks of Iblis. That doesn't mean that it doesn't require clarification. No, it does require the right kind of clarification, which is that the aqa'id of Ahl Sunnah are divided between the Kalami schools and the Athari school. The Athari school is basically the Hanbali school / the Athari school. The Kalami schools are the Ash'aris and Maturidis. They use Kalam. They believe that that's acceptable. Next question.
How does the land become Darul Islam according to Malikis? Is it more similar to Hanafis or Shafi'is? Former holds that it depends on who holds ultimate authority, while Shafi'is based it on manifesting Islam.
The
Malikis.
Malikiya say that it's the majority of the people or the lawgiver, the one who makes the law.
Am I supposed to touch the eye seed in wudu? Eye seed, you mean the pupil?
The who?
Eye seed, like pupil, I guess.
No, you never have to go inside any of your orifices. Your eye, in wudu. Inside your nose, yes, water. Inside the ear, just the ledge, but not inside the deep inside the ear or inside the eye. You don't have to do that in wudu.
Let's
Next.
see. Sheikh, can you explain the hadith which mentions about the future of about the future people of the Sunnah who would be forgiven who act on 10% of the faith?
That is people whose extra good deeds is 10% of what the extra good deeds of the Sahaba were. So that the Sahaba were expected not to leave off any opportunity to do good deeds. There is going to come a time where people, the extra good deeds that they do is only 1 out of 10. They miss 9 and do 10. So that's regarding extra deeds, not the obligatory deeds. Next.
Is it authentic that the first followers of Dajjal will be the Yahud of Iran?
Allah knows best, but maybe they're about to be installed, and Allah knows best. But yes, definitely the followers of the Dajjal are 70,000 Jews from Persia. By the way, Bivane made us a great website. SafinaSocietySearch.com. And it was made by an Indian brother. I believe he's Indian from Indonesia. Go to SafinaSocietySearch.com. Look at that website, SafinaSocietySearch.com. And you could search type something in. Type in Hanafi. Look at that. Immediate. How fast is that? All of the references of Hanafis. Okay, next question.
What is the limit for civil disobedience / disruption against the government and its institutions if Iran gets invaded directly?
I don't understand it. What do you mean
The
by
limits for civil disobedience / disruption against the government and its institutions if Iran gets invaded directly?
that? I don't know.
I guess they're asking generally then.
I don't know.
Okay.
Bivane is actually Sri Lankan, sorry. Sri Lankan living in Indonesia. And he made this amazing website.
Inshallah.
Next.
What did Imam Malik say about nikah misyar?
Nikahul misyar. That's the nikah in which she forgoes her rights. And that's not valid if that is an official position that she takes. So, for example, the contract says that you no longer have your rights to request this, and this from me. That's what's not valid. What is valid is an understanding. I understand you're a busy guy. I understand you can't come by except once a month. So she can forego it. She can forgive and not request him to make those rights, but there should be no contract that ever states that she no longer has those rights. You see the difference? There's a big difference between I overlook the fact that he can't come up with my rights, but they're still her rights. And at any time, she could turn a switch on and said, I want all my rights or else divorce. That's the difference between the idea of a wife accepting that her husband is busy and can't fulfill certain rights versus they actually remove these rights from the contractually. And that's what's not permitted.
Okay. Well, so I just want to say, like, I mean, some of you may probably noticed by now, if you're like mentioning specific names and trying to like cause unnecessary controversy, then your question is most likely not going to be answered. So just keep that in mind. So we have a question: is income earned from an education funded by student loans halal?
Yeah, that's separate. I got trained through a ribawi contract. I use that training to earn my livelihood. These are two separate things. And I want to also to emphasize what we're not going to get into names of people here because it ends up just being a distraction from the issue. We're also not going to let ourselves get bogged down in the nonstop debating of groups and aqaid, stuff like we used to do this in the past, but from experience, all it does is distract people from the issue and get people merely on the identity, fighting over the identity. Do we love such a person or hate such a person? And let's have a feud and all this stuff.
Yeah, and more wisdom in it. Like, you can ask about the topic, but like, what's the point of you saying
Yeah,
the
there's
name
no
of this guy who we have nothing to do with?
Exactly.
And then you want us to like talk bad about him? Like, what do you want us to do?
Yeah.
So I have some hikmah in what you guys are saying.
Yeah.
Okay, someone's asking, is it okay to be gay and be Muslim?
Well, what do you mean to be gay and be Muslim? Being gay, acting upon being gay, it does not take you out of Islam. It's no different than drinking or fornicating. But believing that it's acceptable to do any of these things does take you out of Islam because it's a direct contradiction of the Quran. So when you say being gay, we have to divide that up. You mean believing that it's valid and permitted action? Then no. Even if you didn't do it. For example, if someone were to say, I believe that drinking wine, alcohol, and taking drugs and fornicating is halal. I don't do it, but I believe it's halal. Then you're actually out of Islam, regardless of whether you did it. But if a person does not believe this is lawful, I know this is forbidden in the Quran, but my temptations pull me down into it, then at that point, that person is merely a sinner. And he should keep his sins hidden so as not to corrupt other people. If he now doesn't care, he says, yeah, I know it's haram, but I'm doing it anyway. Now you're at a worse level called a fasiq. You're a fasiq now because you don't have the shame. At least be embarrassed. Okay? Some level of embarrassment is good. Next question.
Is having a nice car considered Islamically permissible?
Yeah, it's permissible to expand in the size of your worldly life, your material life, your house, your car, things related to that. It is permitted. It can possibly, it can possibly enter into discouragement. And the Sufis do not have a law to themselves. They follow the Sharia and Aqidah like everybody else. But they do have a slant. And their slant of the Sufis is to dislike expanding in the material realm of things that distract them from Allah. And they do like to expand in the remembrance of Allah. That's one of the only, I would say, shade of the legal, we could say, fiqhi or jurisprudential slant that Sufism has over the sacred law is just that. They're against the distractions and temptations and material expansion of things, and they do want to expand the amount of dhikr that everyone does, or that they do. But other than that, it is not, the jurists will not say that it is ever sinful to have expensive things that are lawful. Persian Da'i, you can ask any Aqidah question you like, but just, I don't know if it was you or others, that we're not going to get baited into saying names and having a feud. Next, two more questions.
Two more questions. Let's see. Ooh. Okay, so I'm saying there are many tech companies that are supporting Israel politically or otherwise. How should we be as Muslims working in some of these tech/big companies as so many show varying levels of support? Cut off the question, but
we're going to interview all those people. We'll interview all those people, but if you work on a product and that product directly is going to harm people directly, then you can't work on the product. If you work on a product that goes to open retail and then a certain group starts buying it and using it to harm people, you're not guilty. A knife manufacturer, for example, puts his knives out there for any retail store to sell. So at that point, you're not guilty of anything if people use it to kill people. But if the Russian mob says now we need to kill a bunch of people, so let's make a deal, give us a good price, because we're going to be using these knives once and then throwing them away. You can't do that. That is a contract you cannot engage in. You cannot now be involved in producing those knives. That's just a sort of a very basic building block of what makes something halal or haram, to put it in very simple terms. Next.
Someone's asking how to understand the hadith of don't make graveyards into places of worship, but we see awliya rest places in mosques.
No, it means do not worship those in the graves. That's what it means. But it is not unlawful to have a grave next to a mosque or even inside of a mosque, as the Masjid of the Prophet ﷺ has 3 graves. Masjid al-Haram has 2 graves. The Masjid al-Haram has Ismail and Hajar. Masjid al-Nabawi has the Prophet and Abu Bakr and Umar. The key is it has to have a wall around it.
That's a huge proof actually because that's there's ijma on that, right? Ismail and Hajar alayhi salam are there.
Yeah.
So how are you going to deny that's a masjid? That's in the Kaaba.
What about Surah Al-Kahf? When they said, what do we do with these people, these youth who died? The righteous youth died. And someone in the surah, Allah cites somebody who's saying, make a masjid on top of them. So the issue is, do not worship them. And we could look more in the tafsir and give you a fleshed out answer from Tafsir al-Qurtubi. Or, the Sharh of the Hadith. We can give you the full Sharh of the Hadith to give you a better answer to that. Why should one be an Ash'ari if their methodology came during the time of Bid'ah, whereas Atharis have answers to these questions? The whole point is that, to give you a brief summary, the Athari approach is to simply say what the texts say, and not to enter into and be sort of speak about these texts outside of what the texts exactly say. The Ash'ari said, hold on, we do have to do something else. People outside of Islam are now saying you have inconsistencies. This text implies this. This text negates that. What's the answer? The Ash'aris the Kalami schools sought to answer these apparent contradictions and to give you a theology that has no contradictions in it. The Athari did not seek that. The Athari sought that we only say exactly what the texts say, regardless of whether it answers the atheists, the skeptics, the innovators or not. They were not concerned with repelling them. Now, Ibn Taymiyyah did, but early on, they were not concerned with that. They were concerned with what are you saying exactly. It doesn't make a difference what the innovators say, or the atheists say, or the skeptics say. But the Ash'ari said, no, we got to answer these questions. We have to answer these questions. And that both of these are righteous models. And they're not all mutually exclusive. For example, the ta'wilat of the Ash'ari for the Asma and Sifat, when they have ta'wilat, those ta'wilat, those interpretations, they are true about Allah regardless of whether you apply it to that verse or not. Let's take an example. فَإِنَّكَ بِأَعْيُنِنَا. Allah says about the Prophet ﷺ, you are within our eyes. What did the Ash'ari say? It means we're watching over you. We're protecting you. So the key is that they're not saying that that's the only meaning of the verse, but they're saying that's one of the meanings. And is anyone going to deny that Allah is not watching over the Prophet and protecting him? Or, Yadullahi fawqa aydihim. Allah's hand is above their hand. Allah's yad is above their yad. Is anyone going to deny that Allah Ta'ala supports the collectivity of Muslims? Or that Allah Ta'ala is observing every oath that's made? No, that's true anyway. And that's why it is safe to make to apply those ta'wilat. What we cannot say is that that's the only possible interpretation of that verse. No, that's one definite meaning of that verse. It could also be something we don't know. And it could also be the ithbat of that sifa. And we Ash'ari have that. The establishment of that is an attribute of Allah Ta'ala. Yes, we can say that. With tanzih, by insisting upon the transcendence of Allah from being of matter, physicality, location, direction, movement, parts, limbs, etc. So that's ithbat, and it's tafweed, and it's ta'wil. And they're not all completely mutually exclusive. Ultimately, you could say this is what the scholars of Islam said in history, and we leave it at that. I'm not going to solve this issue and come with a final conclusion. Next question, last question.
Someone's asking, how do I get my wife to pray 5 times a day? Nasiha needed. Jazakallah khair.
I think it's the best thing is you have to try to make her truly like you and love you. And then you be a good example. And I have once saw a case where a Lebanese man in Australia married a Christian woman. He wasn't really practicing Islam. And they were living the regular un-Islamic life. Nothing to do with Islam. Like, not extremely in anything vulgar or bad, but no Islam. So the guy, though, once he had to start having kids, he started getting into Islam. And she loathed it. This woman, she's like a non-Muslim woman, always wearing shorts and tank tops and living that life, all free life and everything, or free as they describe it. She couldn't stand it. It's like it brought the demon out of her. And it was really on the brink. She hated it so much. Well, she tells a story, and he says that one day he just stopped trying to convince her. And he just started doing it on his own. And then she started picking the fights. And she said, listen, I know you're taking a new strategy, that you're not talking to me about this. And I see you praying, but I'm telling you, neither me nor our daughters are ever going that route. And he said, okay. He didn't do anything. His strategy was, let me just do this and be a good husband and not talk to her about this. But she kept picking the fights. And she's like, she started thinking to herself, why am I picking the fight? He's not asking me to do it. And she realized like something inside of her head is really agitated about this Islam thing. Even if he's doing it and he's not asking her to do it. And that led her to just go for about 6 months nonstop digging. And she didn't even, at some point she said she didn't even know why she's digging. She's like, am I hating on this? Am I learning? I don't know. But eventually her mind changed, her heart changed. It's as if that whatever agitation got out of her system. And one day she came and she said, all right, I'll be a Muslim. And she's now a regular Muslim convert woman and like everybody else. So I would say that your best bet is just to be an upright Muslim if the dawah is going to agitate the person in front of you, because when you agitate them, you build a wall of defense. You don't want to build a wall of defense. So just leave them at, watch you, observe you, and love you as a husband, and maybe and hopefully they'll come around. And that man, when they interviewed him later, he said, I realized there's no way, we're just hitting a wall. So I said, nothing from me is ever going to change her. It's only Allah's going to change her. So he would wake up in the middle of the night and make dua for her. And I remember one young man, he told me something, it was one of these funny, only in America type of things, where a kid says to me, I need to make dua, I'm having a hard time with my girlfriend. This is a young convert. He said, I know what you're going to say, you shouldn't have a girlfriend in the first place. And I said, well, you know what I'm going to say, right? And he said, but please make dua, I'm having trouble with her. We're having a fight. And he says, also, please don't pray for me in the middle of the night. He said, I know it's wrong, but I have to have this girlfriend. Do not make dua for me if Allah answers your dua. Right? Anyway, funny kids. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Aşkınla